Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is the Commando Cast, a video cast about all things Star Wars Destiny. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in, and happy Destiny Friday. So we're about a month or so away from the release of ARH-4 Unlikely Heroes, and that's right, the word spoiler is even starting to be whispered in some of the deep dark corners of the ARH Discord. So that's all very exciting. Obviously, we always have fun leading up into it with spoilers dropping everywhere and theory crafting, and then of course once it hit, the release weekend, it's going to be awesome. It always is, right? But another thing that we have to look forward to with that release is the very first adjustment of the ARH-legal reprint list will also coincide with that release. The holocron changes and all that. So what I wanted to do tonight was look at kind of the cards that I think are likely to get dropped, some that I wish they wouldn't, but I think they probably will, and some that I'd like to see that maybe won't. All right, folks, welcome back. So yeah, today talking reprint list, or rather what won't be on it, or what I don't think will be on it come the November ARH-4 release. So I kind of had a little bit of fun with this week. I ran a super scientific poll on the, I'll put it up now, super scientific poll on the Dice Commando Discord, where for anybody who knows Discord, right, you can't actually take a poll on Discord. What you have to do is assign emojis to things and then have people click the emojis. So in keeping it completely professional and completely, with data integrity and everything, I chose animals. So you can see there, right, what I did is I asked, what are your top cards from the reprint list that no way in hell are making it past November's release? And of course, this is completely scientific, and because we're polling just the Dice Commando Discord, so I'm there's no inherent bias or anything there. But I thought it was fun anyway. So what you can see is, yes, I did assign the animal faces to it, and there's one thing to note here: hidden motive. I had actually forgotten to add to the list. Sarah Evans had reminded me that it wasn't on there, so I threw it on last. So I think it got a few less votes than it would have, because I put it up a couple hours later. So, usually when people are going through, they probably missed it. So you can consider hidden motive to have a couple extra. Of course, we don't know how many. Like I said, super scientific poll, right? But what you see there is that, those first three, which were, of course, kind of the first three I put on there, because that's where my head was as well, right? Easy Pickings, Ancient Lightsaber, and All In got a massive amount of votes. We also see that the Bear there, Weapons Factory Alpha, got 9 hits. Fox Hit and Run got 7. And the other top rated one was Lion, which is Riposte, right along with Hidden Motive. And actually, Bait and Switch, the Moo Cow. Moo Cow got a good number of votes as well. There was a lot of distributed clicks there, but it was pretty clear, the ones at the top were what they were, right? So I don't think those come to any surprise. So going down my list, number one is All In. This is a really, really cool card. The problem is this card was never really designed from the beginning to exist in the world that we have now, right? There's a couple things going on. Well, the obvious one is there's a lot more two focus sides. Even in the later blocks of FFG Destiny, there was a lot more two focus sides than there ever really were before, in which All In existed. Functionally, something like, right, whether or not they, if they drop All In, do they bring back Impulsive, or do they create their new card that does something similar to Impulsive? I think probably they create a new card, because Impulsive's a little too limiting in a direct comparison. Because Impulsive is Yellow Hero, whereas All In is gray neutral. Like you can play it everywhere, right? So there's that point to consider. of course, with the 2 focus. But the other part to consider from a design standpoint is a lot of times mixed damage sides are used to control tempo. And right, if you have somebody with guns and melee or whatever it may be, right, it slows you down a little bit, which is part of what the design balance happens with, right? I mean, that's part of what happens in their testing. And when you throw something like all in, anyway, a card like this really messes that up. Now, again, I think fundamentally what all in does is a good thing. I just think that all in being able to resolve all of them versus doing something like an impulsive where you can resolve focus and then hit, I think those are two very different things. So I don't see all in making it. I don't see all in making it past. I would guess that all in's very close to their number 1. Next up, unfortunately, folks, is Ancient Lightsaber. The real reason I think that Ancient, I was on the fence about Ancient until we really started to see the power of it with Ki, right? And obviously Ki Adimundi is not going to go anywhere, nor should he, right? Because he was designed without Ancient, and then Ancient came in and kind of... Anyway, the point here is Ancient Lightsaber itself as a major tool to essentially almost eliminate Mill as an archetype in the ARH standard format. There's just no way, right? There's just no way Ancient's going to make it. I don't believe, right? I mean, what it does anyway is powerful enough, but the fact that it just basically takes out Mill, I mean, I think there's no way. I mean, I think that's really it for me. It's not about the number of blue weapons. It's not about anything like that. It's about the fact that it just almost nullifies an archetype. Next up, sorry for the bad graphic there. It's just the way it stretches, but Weapons Factory Alpha. This one didn't get as many votes, but I think that this battlefield is just bonkers. It's just bonkers, right? I mean, this one combined with... I mean, keep in mind that Weapons Factory Alpha and Armored Reinforcement were never legal. Oh, wait, they were actually. Armored Reinforcement was. Okay, I take that back. Weapons Factory Alpha and Armored Reinforcement were legal together for one set. And it was our vehicle set, too, with the mods, right, which across the galaxy. All right, but either way, with the increased ramp capacity that we have now, combined with just... the fact, I mean, this one plus Merchant, right? Because being able to drop Merchant for 0 or -1, being able to just play a free Merchant, get money, it's bad news, right? And Merchant's not going anywhere for at least 3 more sets. And I mean, and it's not just Merchant, right? It's other stuff as well. But with the speed that pilots are very, very strong. With the speed that they bring and being able to control this is also very, very strong. So I think this battlefield, even like, I'm not saying this battlefield is like controlling the meta, like obviously it's not, but I think the potential for this to be meta warping in the future, or maybe this is like a Mean Streets type thing in that like it becomes design limiting, right, going forward. So I think this one's got to go. All right, next is Hidden Motive. So I'll be honest, I would be sad to see this one go because it's a fun card that is basically, to me, is like a start. Like this to me is Star Wars Destiny. It is, but I think this card's not going to make it past November. Right? It's just too. I mean, it was too ubiquitous at the time. Anyway, remember Jeremy tried to do like some weird thing. I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head, but right, they tried to restrict. Wasn't it with Chopper? Didn't they restrict it with Chopper or something? Oh. That was the old janked up restricted list. So it wasn't restricted with somebody. It was put on the restricted list. You could, yeah. But it was like Chopper was on there that same period of time or whatever it may have been. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was just too ubiquitous of a card because of how good it is. Yeah, so I don't think Hidden Motive makes it through again. It's one of those, like, this kind of falls in like the bummer category, but I think for the overall health of the game, Hidden Motive probably needs to go. Next is Easy Pickings. I gotta be honest, I'm really shocked this one made it on to begin with because, I mean, I guess people just liked it. But I thought everybody hated this card. Anyway, with Dash, I mean, quite frankly, it's Dash and just the yellow. I mean, it's not just Dash, but like it's kind of Dash and Han and like all the yellow. Yeah, I mean, and Benthic, and like it's just like I don't really know that. I think this card's got to go. Riposte. So this one I could go either way on personally, but I think we make a lot of shields right now, right? And we make a lot of shields that you can basically replenish immediately. And I think Riposte, the cost of Riposte, so I had to pause that. Riposte cost? The cost of Riposte is not what it used to be, right? But the effect of it is what it used to be, right? And granted, characters have a little more health these days, but like it used to be quite a bit of effort to get enough shields and then get those shields back, right? And it's really not anymore. So I think, and it's the potential of this, of course, through the ceiling. I haven't seen too many big Yoda decks out there throwing 6. I really haven't. So I'm not necessarily saying like this is like the Wombo combo or something. I just think that the effectiveness of this card is way too cheap for what it does, right? It was designed for a different era of Destiny. I think that's where my head is. So I would not be surprised to see Riposte go. Next, and this is another one that like I think this is a great card. I think it's a fine card. I think it has a place. But I think that this one I think that the Resistance Crate Speeder, I mean, it's amazing, right? Like with this card in the meta, or with this card on the reprint list, I mean, like there's a lot of like they're not going to play, of the new vehicles that they continue to produce, like, even, and I get it, why not play both? But like if you're playing Crate Speeder, like there's a lot of 2-drop vehicles you're not going to run, right? I mean, you compare, again, I get it, play both, but like if you compare this to like the Fluttercraft, like aren't you going to play this one? I mean, mostly, right? Because you don't have the modified side to worry about. And I mean, again, I get it, play both. But yeah, I mean, the Crate Speeder is just good, and I have no problem with the Crate Speeder, but I think that what it's going to do is, if it stays in, it's going to force power creep on 2-crop vehicles, and like I don't think we want that to happen, because like this one's pretty freaking good, right? So if we get to the point where Crate Speeder is not a good ship anymore, I think that's a problem. So I think what they need to do is rotate it out, and go from there, right? I mean, there's way too many. I mean, if you look at like even like Razor Crest and stuff like Razor Crest is a good ship, but like I think you play Crate Speeders instead, because you can get 2 of them on the board and it's non-unique, right? So anyway. All right, next is He Doesn't Like You. This card is way too effective for what it does, right? I mean, Loth Cat and Mouse is the fair version of this card, right? And we know like Loth Cat and Mouse was reprinted by FFG between was Spirit Rebellion, and then it was reprinted in Convergence, right? So yeah, they reprinted it in the block 3. There's a place for a card like that. This one is the over effective version of that, where you're not trading your best die for their best die, you're trading your worst die for their best die. I mean, this card's been literally talked about for the entire life of Destiny because it's an Awakenings card. The card's just too good. I get it. It evokes Star Wars Destiny feelings from me too, but the card's just too good. Next, so this one, so we're kind of at the point now, let me check my list and make sure, but yeah, so we're kind of at the point now where a little bit of what we've looked at to this point are the cards that I'm almost certain are going to go, and that largely, even though I may not want them to, I think need to. What we're going to be looking at from here on forward are the cards that I think are going to go, that I don't necessarily, I mean, it's not like I'm going to cry about it, but like I don't necessarily, like I love Overconfidence. Like I think it's a fundamental Destiny card to me. But I think, right, Overconfidence, for example, has basically nullified several cards that they have. Rising Whirlwind, I think, right? Basically does the same thing, except that you have to have like 2 weapons on or something like that, right? I'll put it up, of course, like I always do. But if they bring back this card that essentially nullifies anything that they've made to date, that means in order to be better than Overconfidence, they have to make something else, or that's they have to make something else that's better. And like, again, I don't think we want that. So I personally think that overconfidence is going to go. I would be fine with overconfidence staying in as long as they designed around it. But I think probably overconfidence is going to get cut. But we will see. Next is hit and run. This one also is one that I don't mind being in because it's a little limited on red. Part of the problem is that a lot of the red guys that see play are pilots, right? So you're not just coming in with the character, you're coming in with the character in a vehicle. And I mean, what if mods come back? You know, we haven't really seen them, but like what if mods come back? And it's not like red pilots are in a bad space, right? And being free is, I mean, again, it's limiting because it's red hero, and that's at least one point that was kind of their faction identity. Hit and run and it's a trap and stuff like that was one of the reasons that red hero was bad for so long, was because they were essentially design limiting cards. So I think that hit and run, for the same reason, is probably going to go. Like I said, I don't personally mind hit and run because I think it's fun to do it with like Kara and stuff, but I do think that it's too good with pilots, and that's why I think probably the ARH team's going to probably nix this one. All right, Pacify. So this, like I said, there's another card that to me is just kind of fundamental destiny. I don't really have a problem with this because there's a trade, and it's very functional because you can use it on yourself too. But I think probably this card, this one's like a 50-50. Like if they took it, let's say it this way, if they took Pacify off the list, I wouldn't be surprised that they had chosen to do that. But I could see it staying as well. Like it's one of those borderline cards where like it's really good. Like it's obviously really good because it saw a ton of play for a long time and continues to. So obviously it's a good card. But it's zero. And I mean, zero stuff in a world, right? It used to be that blue hero, if they didn't get their binds, had a very hard time doing anything, right? And even blue villain to some extent, but you know, they had a little more ways to make money, but they had to like give damage and stuff for it. But my point is that blue in general, if they didn't get binds or the ramp cards, then they had kind of a hard time paying for their weapons. And right now, with the sheer amount of zeros, nullify, pacify, hidden motive, and so on, they can do a pretty decent control package, removal package, whatever, delay package, whatever you want to call it. They can do that pretty decently with zero while they put all of their cash into 2 and 3 drop weapons. And then you throw in the fact that they can run merchant, because of course they can, because everybody can. Then you're looking at 2 and 3 drop weapons plus, so anyway, you know what I'm saying. I personally like Pacify, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes away. Another card that, again, I like, Dagger Mortis, but it's just, there's enough out there already. And, the fact that it's neutral, maybe it's saving grace because it can go on both factions, so it's not like somebody gets an advantage. And Blue Hero definitely has the advantage right now in terms of weapons. Like, there's no question there. So maybe they do keep Dagger in. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Dagger go at all. Because, there's, like, Killian Lightsaber. Like, I don't think very many people are playing Killian Lightsaber anymore. And, like, that's a pretty decent card, right? So, I think you can kind of see the track I'm on, or the thought process I'm on here with, like, if these cards are essentially nixing stuff that ARH is designing, then meaning that it's already better than stuff they've designed and right? Because the stuff they've designed was obviously balanced. So if this card comes in and automatically takes out the stuff they've balanced, that implies, at least, or seems to indicate, either one, a design miss, or two, that this is probably better than it should be, right? So and I think it's the latter. I think Dagger Mortis is just above curve a little bit, which doesn't mean it's bad because everybody has access to it. But remember, it used to be when, like I was talking with blue being always kind of at an inherent disadvantage, it used to be okay for their weapons to be really good because that was kind of their thing. But now they've got all these good weapons and ways to play them, and Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a bad thing that Blue Hero is in a good spot. I should keep saying Blue Hero, but it's not a bad thing that Mono Blue is in a good spot. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's actually great, right? But when you start compounding this stuff, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dagger goes. Bait and Switch is on here as well for me. This is one I actually voted for this one. I like this card. I like that it's capped to villain, even though there's a Jedi on there. But yeah, I think they're doing a trick. Anyway, Bait and Switch I think is actually pretty cool within yellow. But I think that this is another thing that kind of messes with their design, and it kind of becomes design limiting, right? Like and granted, Jango Fett had 2 resource sides back in the day. I get it, in Awakenings. But, it makes it hard for them to give multiple resource side. And it's not just yellow at this point, right? Like, I think that's part of the problem is it's yellow villain on the include, but it's not just a yellow die or something like that, right? So it becomes very tricky when they want to start making characters with multiple resource sides, or, not big resource sides, because usually you're going to resolve those then, but still, I think you understand what I'm saying. All right, so that's last. Now, one thing you'll notice that's not on here is everybody's, and I think that's a relatively fair statement, nearly everybody's favorite card, weapon, blue weapon, Shoto Lightsaber. I do not have Shoto Lightsaber on this list. I do not think they're going to drop Shoto Lightsaber, primarily because I don't think they'll drop Ancient and Shoto together. And Ancient is clearly the bigger... I do think it's a problem, right? I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind Ancient existing as it exists for what it does, except that right now it's completely taken Mill. It makes Mill, it's just an unwinnable matchup with Mill, right? And then, right, because then you have the back and forth meta thing there, right? Where like, if Mill becomes good, but it can't beat Blue Hero, then everybody just plays Blue Hero, right? Because you don't want to get milled. So like that's not a good place to be in either, because then you don't have like the check and balance. Those two are the check and balance or whatever, right? The mill balances everything else. And then sure, you get the round thing. And I know that some people always like the rock, paper, scissors meta, but like, wouldn't we rather have like a rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, or whatever, right? Whatever the thing is, right? I think you'd rather have that. And I think that what Ancient does is just too forceful, and it forces the top of the meta down. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, I think Shoto will stay, probably on the chopping block in the future, to be honest, unfortunately. But I think that, I just think that's the way it's going to be. Anyway, those are my guesses, but what are you thinking? What do you like? First off, do you agree with my list? What am I missing? What did I leave off? Make the case to save your cards too, right? I mean, we all went and voted for what we voted for. And it's going to sting when some of those votes get taken away. But I think for the long-term overall health, I think, especially the ones near the beginning of the cast, I think most of those are all but certain, especially the first 3 are probably all but certain. But I've been wrong before. You guys have all seen it. So anyway, folks, that'll do it for me today. Thanks very much for tuning in again. Let me know in the comments what you think. And hey, remember guys, right? Like these videos. It helps get them out and we can find other Star Wars. So like the videos, comment. It helps the algorithm to pop this up to the top and we can find some other people for Star Wars Destiny. So anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. Happy Friday and go Commando.